Hi, everybody, and welcome to Behind the Byline. I'm Savani.
And I'm Sabine.
We're the co-founders of Hidden Compass, and we're here with journalist Emilie Filou, who wrote a delightful and oddly appetizing story for our summer 2022 issue about the annual bug buffet and the maverick professor who has spent her career destigmatizing bugs as food in the heart of cattle country. Thank you for joining us, Emilie.
Thank you very much for having me.
So for those in our audience who we might already be losing with the idea of eating bugs, Emilie, why is it a good idea to eat bugs, and should we really be that afraid?
Well, I mean, they're just food. I think that's the simplest way of thinking about them. Lots of people eat them, millions, billions of people eat them. It's just we in the West are not accustomed to eating them. So I think that's the first thing to consider. It's not a futuristic food or a novel food. It's not like eating, cellular meat or cell-grown meat, whatever you want to call it. It's just, it is one category of food that is already really commonly eaten. And the reason why it might make more sense for us to start eating them here in the West is that we can farm them in ways that are much more efficient than with conventional farming. So most insects in the West would be farmed in vertical farms. So imagine just a stack of trays, and then you'd have lots of insects in each of these trays. And so if you think about sort of the efficiency of having that vertical system, that stacking system, it makes sense. It just takes less space. They don't need as much water. They don't need as much feed, and they're much more efficient at converting whatever feed you give them. So that's why, from a sustainability perspective, it really does make sense to look at this food source as something that's just food and actually sort of quite a sustainable food source.
So you're something of an expert in bug cuisine, and not just from researching and writing this story. So, we've gotten a taste of your knowledge already. So can you tell us more about your personal connection to the subject?
Yeah, so I came across insects, edible insects, and the whole new industry of insect protein a little bit by accident. I was looking at a story in Madagascar about how insects were being used as a way to try and reduce bushmeat consumption, especially lemurs in Madagascar, and they're endangered. And so the idea was, if households that rely on this endangered food source, if these households, which usually tend to suffer from malnutrition, could have an alternative protein source, insects, could they maybe reduce their consumption? And actually that project was really successful and proved that it is a good way of doing it. And when I started looking at this story, I found out about this whole industry here in the West, and I thought it was incredible and just really quirky and different, and something I hadn't really come across before. So I started sort of, researching and writing more, and then I started writing a newsletter about the industry and how it was emerging and why, and sort of chronicling really sort of this rise of a new insect protein movement.
I love stories like this that have these exciting angles about movements for the future, and sustainability and deliciousness go together very well, in my opinion. So those who are watching and haven't read the story, please go and read it and consider making a contribution. If you learned something or if you enjoyed it, you have the opportunity to directly support our partnership with Emilie. So 50% of your contribution will go to support us so we can publish more stories like these, and the other 50% go directly to Emilie. And Emilie, what would you say to folks who have already contributed to your campaign?
Well, thank you. And also spread the word, because it's really about challenging our own preconceptions about what food is. And I think sort of keeping an open mind, and the more you read about it, the more you learn about this, the more it makes sense. And I think once I started thinking about this, I was really surprised about my own preconceptions and how deep-rooted they were, and actually how they made no sense at all. So I really hope that sort of people who have enjoyed the story can just spread the word and just raise awareness about this.
Great advice.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Emilie. Yes, that is great advice.
Thank you very much.
We've enjoyed chatting with you. For the folks who are watching, as Sabine said, go read the story, contribute to those campaigns. I'll just note that 50% goes to Emilie on top of what we already pay our journalists. So do please go read the story, contribute to the campaign, and we'll see you all next time. Thanks.
Take care, everyone.